welcome back. Time for this week's Capital Report with Pat McGuigan of CapitalBeatOK.com. Pat, the pension reform measurements are moving through the legislature already with some speed. Governor Fallin is pleased with this progress. What about you?
It's a very interesting thing. This is an issue we identified right off the bat as being very significant. We've talked about pensions many times. The governor made it a priority in her State of the State, and you have to give credit where credit is due. It's happening. Don't know what the end result will be, but very quickly legislation moving through both the House and the Senate would put the state's government or tax-funded retirement programs for public employees on a path to sustainability for the long run. Now, there's some disagreement on this, but let me quickly give the case for it. Randy McDaniel in the House and Rick Brinkley in the Senate are pushing to shift the state from a defined benefit structure, which in the long term, I believe, I've concluded is unsustainable, along with a lot of other analysts, and shift that to a defined benefit, a defined contribution to where your benefit ultimately is drawn from your share that you've paid in, plus what the state holds to pay in for you. Portability, like 401ks, which people in the professional classes are used to in the private sector, and which now you just basically don't even have defined benefit anymore. In the private sector, it's all defined contribution. That might be a slight overstatement, but only slight. So, bottom line, portability. I asked Senator Bingman at the weekly briefing that he has for reporters, I said, is this enough? Does it get us there? And he goes, well, it's a start. And as I've dug into the numbers, you know, even OCPA, which can be as alarmist or more so than me, believes that in 12 to 18 years, if we can hold our returns high on the state's investments, the plan is financed. It's paying for itself, with new hires being subjected to this new approach. Now, that gives me great hope, gives me great optimism that the future is going to be better than the past. In the House, they also voted to maintain the determination to make an annual deposit directly in from taxpayer funds into the retirement plans. Now, there's some nuances and exemptions in this program, but it looks to me like a very good start.
All right. Also, the legislature off to a quick start in approving, or at least getting on track, the measure to make improvements to the state capitol. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we joked last week about the governor's references to the smell you sometimes have in the basement. Well, it turned out, I guess, that the venting system was bringing it right into the Senate chamber. So on Wednesday and Thursday, it's not really funny, except when you know, Saturday Night Live type of humor. Definitely got the senators' minds focused, and this thing is advancing, and it's bigger than I expected, $160 million. That's a lot of money. There's still opposition to incurring additional state debt. The governor points out that that about half of the debt comes off by 2018 if we do nothing new, and most of the rest of it comes off by 2027. And I think that's why you have a good conservative like Greg Treat of Oklahoma City in the Senate helping Senator Bingman on the issue, is because it makes some sense. I'm not saying yay or nay, but this is now moving forward, at least in the Senate. In the House, I think it'll be tied to the success or not of a tax cut. I think that'll be the trade-off.
All right. Finally, the odds seem to be against legalized or even decriminalized marijuana in Oklahoma, but advocates of medical marijuana were encouraged by some developments this past week. Tell us about it.
Yeah, big rally at the Capitol, a very, I'd say, a group of well-spoken people at a press conference in the Capitol press room, led by Senator Connie Johnson. And there at her side was an old pal of mine, Porter Davis, kind of a libertarian conservative. Kurt Hockenauer at University of Central Oklahoma is writing about this on his blog. I think that the medical marijuana aspect is what may someday happen in Oklahoma, because the same polling data that shows people opposed to legalization or decriminalization, paradoxically, it shifts to sympathy on the medical marijuana subject. So that was the topic of a lot of discussion, and I'd say it bears watching.
I know you will, and you can read more about these and other topics at capitalbeatok.com. For Pat McGuigan in his red and blue,
Happy Valentine's weekend.
I'm Alex Cameron, and have a good day.